and welcome to the Peace and Power Podcast. My name is Kiosha. This is part 3 in our series on divorce recovery, where we're talking about how to stabilize and get set up for financial freedom after a divorce. So in the first 2 episodes, we talked about prioritizing our healing and focusing on our basic needs. We even set up a simple budget in episode number 2 that's going to kind of guide us into what we're going to be doing over the next 2 episodes. So please make sure that you go back and watch those first 2 episodes of this series if you haven't done so already, so that you're caught up and tracking with everything that we're going to talk about today. And on today, we are talking about how to set godly goals. Goal setting is one of the most important things that you will learn to do. Tony Robbins said, having a goal is like turning the invisible into the visible. Without a goal, it's like you're walking around blind. You're just wandering aimlessly. But when you have a goal, there's a light at the end of that tunnel. You know where you're going. You know what direction you need to be headed in because you've set your goal there. It's very interesting to me that we oftentimes will walk around without a goal and then wonder why we're not getting where we want to be. It's like the goal is somewhere in the back of our mind. Today, we're going to focus on writing those goals out so that they're tangible and that we can actually work towards achieving them. The first type of goal that we're going to talk about today is a savings goal. And we're also going to talk about having a debt elimination goal. When you're coming out of a divorce, these 2 areas are extremely important because these are the things that are going to set you up for true financial freedom. And the savings goal is probably the most important at this point because if you don't have any money saved, you're not going to feel comfortable to move on to paying off debt because you don't have any money to fall back on. So that's why we have to set a solid foundation for ourselves by setting a savings goal. And this is biblical. You know, Jesus tells us that we are going to have trouble in this world. Hard times are going to come. Savings prepares us for those hard times. John 16:33 says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Proverbs 6:6-8 says, Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. So clearly we see here the need to set aside portions of our income in order to prepare for uncertain times. With the ant, it's summertime, there's food in abundance, so they're setting aside some of that food. They're not eating everything in sight. They are eating what they need for the moment, but then setting some aside for when winter comes. And we need to do the same thing. So how much money should you be saving? A $1,000 savings goal is a great starting place because the way I like to think of it is if an emergency were to happen with my car, right? My car insurance is deductible is $500. If an emergency were to happen at my apartment, my homeowner's or my renter's insurance deductible is $500. So if something were to happen, God forbid, in both of those areas, $1,000 would cover me. And then you're able to turn your attention to our next goal, which is debt elimination. Debt elimination is extremely important. Having debt adversely affects your ability to gain wealth. When you have debt, all of your money is tied up in paying your creditors. So that's money that you don't have access to build wealth. Proverbs 22:7 says, The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. And Psalm 37:21 says, The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous give generously. In the last episode, I walked you through making a list of your debts and adding those minimum payments to your simple budget. Well, now we're going to go a step further. We're actually going to take your debts and list them out from smallest balance to largest balance. This is going to help us visualize the order to pay our debts off in and give us an idea of how long it will take us to pay those debts off, because your goals must have a timeline. So let's take it back to that $1,000 savings goal for a moment. If you say, I want to save $1,000, that's great. But if you don't add a timeline to it, you could be saving $1,000 for forever and just taking your time and nickeling and diming it all the way to nothing, right? No, you need to add a timeline to this in order to make it real, in order to make it tangible. So let's say the goal is $1,000. We can say, I want to save $1,000 in 4 months. Now I know that that's $250 per month. And if I'm paid biweekly, that's $125 per paycheck. Next time, we'll talk about how to apply those goals to your monthly budget and make sure that you're able to execute in a way that's going to help you achieve those goals in the timeline that you desire. But creating the goals is not enough. Having a savings goal is great. Having a debt elimination goal is great, but those are not enough. You need to define your why. Your why is the deep-rooted reason, the purpose behind what you're doing financially. Why do you want to get out of debt? Why do you want financial freedom? What does it mean for you to achieve these goals? You need that deep-rooted purpose to keep you grounded. I'll give you an example. My why is to break generational curses of financial instability. Your why cannot be something selfish or self-seeking. It has to be something bigger than you. It almost has to be unattainable. Like, I don't know what it looks like to break generational curses of financial insecurity, or if that's something I'll be able to do. All I know is that that is the goal for my children and my children's children. I want them to have a future that is not bound by their lack of money. I want them to be able to have access because they have a foundation that will allow them to do that. So as you set godly goals, remember, you need a savings goal. You need a debt elimination goal. These goals need to be time bound, and they need to be secured with a why. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you guys will join me next week when we are looking at how to actually apply these goals to your monthly budget so that you can start achieving them. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let me know in the comments, what are your goals?